Pink blushing.
And you're watching the fucking
DSP Space Gaming
news.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dent Style News Network. This week we reviewed suggestions, debunked inflation, decided that attractive women are banned from the channel, got ourselves involved in some drama with RTU's former editor, which we talked way too much about, and introduced a new RPG into the mix for 5 hours before sending it to the back burner. I appreciate you guys coming back to this chill and robust style news content, and hope this helps summarize this week's lore.
Let's continue on. Let's jump back into some of these suggestions, okay? All right, let's jump in, right? Reduce asking for support. These segments put you in a bad light and are the exact kind of clips the trolls want. It really comes off as desperate. Regulars already know how to support, and if newcomers don't know, they'll ask. People are smarter than you give them credit for. They'll figure out how to support. If anything, you should add a support command to your chat when someone asks you.
After speaking to our resident business growth specialist here at the Dent Style News Network, he has agreed that this is a great way to garner support for your business. But this viewer doesn't seem to realize that during our research into Brunel Productions, there is already a support command that is initiated by using !tip, which will trigger Nightbot to tell you the many ways you can give Phil Brunel your SSI checks if you haven't already wired them to be directly deposited into his WWE Champions Fund.
Well, first of all, the Scorn debacle is a whole separate thing. We all know what happened with the Scorn debacle 2 years ago, where I was playing a game that really started good and became a piece of dog shit. And I was suffering with it, but people were like demanding that I keep playing it because it's a short game. And then we had an awful night where basically I was feeling awful because the game really pissed me off. And then I looked and literally I made like nothing that night. And I'm like, dude, I just killed myself playing this shitty ass game and essentially, made nothing for it. Imagine if you went to work one day and you busted your ass at work and you were just exhausted with that day of work. And then your boss walked up to you and said, oh, by the way, I'm not paying you for today. All jokes aside, do you ever consider your fans as your boss since your business is fan funded? If not, what title would you give them? Thanks for the content. Hashtag DSP politics to save the business. Ugh. Okay. Do you consider your fans as your boss? Okay. Fans and viewers are the customers. Okay. Not the boss, the customers.
As we went over last week, the fans are not the boss of Brunel Productions. It's in the name. This small shanty shack of a business, which operates more like a charity where the operator is the charity case itself, is the boss. Yet, if he's making the comparison that the boss is the one who isn't paying you for the Scorn session he is referencing, does that not make the viewers the boss? This reporter is very confused.
But, in general, I don't like asking for support at all.
During my extended stay on the same supposed planet on which Phil resides, I cannot name many behavioral patterns outside of addictions that people will do habitually without getting some kind of enjoyment out of it. Further studies may need to be done on the addictive nature of begging.
If I had to never, ever talk about support, I never would. Really. I wouldn't even bother. Do you think I like saying, oh, by the way, please, support the stream with this, and this? No, I don't like doing that. That's the opposite of what a streamer wants to do. A streamer wants to stream fun content. It's not fun to have to bring up ways to contribute and to say, by the way, guys, today is a slow stream. But the bottom line is that's my livelihood. All right. Unlike most other content creators out there who have opportunities outside of just their live streams to make funds, I don't. I cannot get sponsorship opportunities. I cannot get partnership opportunities for multiple reasons, mostly because everyone on the internet has dumped on me for 10 years. Unfairly slandering, defaming me, and treating me like the internet whipping boy. No company is going to want me to be a spokesperson for their product, because if I ever did, my trolls would immediately go to their website, to their socials, and bombard them with fucking nasty shit, which would immediately make them say, why the hell did we do this? The whole point is to make our product look good and have more people buy it or experience it. And instead, all we have is a bunch of trolls harassing us online. So what happened here?
This reporter went on a historical search for the history of Phil and sponsors, and has found some flaws with his claims. Phil has had sponsors in the past and of course made their products look like glowing gems by deriding them whenever they don't give him whatever he wants, and dancing on their graves after they have collapsed. Do the trolls harass these companies, however? That is not my place to say. From what I've seen, these trolls seem to direct tweets at these sponsors containing clips of behaviors new and old that would not be deemed respectable on the DSP Space Gaming channel.
And we could sit here and argue all day about what's a better thing, to have a 9-to-5 job with a salary, or to be a YouTuber who's like my stature and fluctuating income and it's not stay. You know, that's neither here nor there. And truth be told, with all the hardships that I go through here financially, it's still better than any other job I've ever had. Every other job that I've had, it's this semblance of safety and stability that doesn't exist. In corporate America specifically, you can be cut at any moment for any reason, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Another talking point from last week that we fully agree with here at DSNN. There is no safety in employment. It's not like you can always legally fight back from being fired like Phil has in the past with Best Buy. It's not like you can get unemployment like Phil has done in the past, also with Best Buy. It's not like you can be guaranteed a severance package like Phil has with Sikorsky. Absolutely not. It's much better to learn and to hone your skills as a professional victim, clown, or beggar. Or even better yet, if you can master all three, apply them as your trade.
And the truth is, there are people who come by every day who are curious about the content, who don't know what it is. They've heard a bunch of negative things about me, and they're here curious to hear about it for themselves. And, you know, they don't know how to contribute. And so if I just casually mention it every once in a while, then maybe they will.
A study done on new viewers by just observing the total of 0 that joined Phil's chat, excluding LARPers, states that the suggestion already mentioned that new members will ask how they can support if they wish to do so. And if not, Nightbot will spam the chat and let them know at an incessant, almost desperate rate, like the bot itself has a vested interest in the success of the stream. Otherwise, they can check the description of every stream, every video, damn near every tweet, and so on. DSNN does not believe that new viewers will have a hard time seeing the grift and how accessible you are into taking in charity.
The difference here is this. I don't do it constantly. It doesn't matter what people say. I actually don't do it constantly, and I know for a fact because I've actually been tracking myself. I have. I've actually started tracking how often do I actually ask for support and how bad is it and things like that. And I can tell you this. Today is way less than what it used to be. Basically, this all started around that time because you brought up Scorn. It started around that time of that playthrough when I kind of had a reality check, when I had YouTubers who were watching that clip and calling me out and saying, wow, Phil's a scumbag. And I was like, you know what? They're right. I completely agree with them. When I watch back myself during that stream, I cringe and say, that was awful. Why did I do that? You know, it's emotions. It's being afraid. Because again, a day when I have a bad streaming day literally could mean that within a week or two, I have a day where I'm worried, how am I going to pay all my bills because things went badly, you know?
Phil, being someone we have observed as someone who can keep track of the money coming in very effectively, this begging tracker does not seem to be working very well statistically. DSNN has its best people looking for said tracker at this moment, and have yet to determine its authenticity. It seems odd that your entire livelihood can hinge on the failure of one stream, or as he corrects later on in this statement, an entire streaming week. If we take a general sum and giving him the benefit of hitting the first tip goal on each stream, he is implying that here, between $100 and $600 can make him destitute. I don't know about you, my lovely viewers, but if my entire life hinged on $600, I would probably consider other options.
For example, when the whole debacle happened 2 months ago with all the fake memberships, and all of a sudden the channel is exploding with memberships and everyone thinks everything's going great, it's literally the opposite. Like, I'm getting thousands of these memberships and getting paid like $1 per 1,000. So normally I would be making all this income and I'm actually losing tons of income and it hasn't come back. You know, this is just a matter of fact right now, is that this channel is way down on revenue because those memberships screwed everything up. They threw a big monkey wrench into the way that stuff works. And now so many people got the free memberships, no one paid for one for like 2 months.
That's right. General Philippos is back on the scene and in force this week, back to being defeated by the Argentinian war effort that last I recall didn't actually affect him, and he has found a solution for, but we still have not been able to confirm whether or not banning the Argentinian members actually works in any real way. All I have to say is this arc has been a fantastic detour from the regular monotony of investor meetings and financial woes.
Shorten the podcast. Your past recent podcasts are nothing but scheduled talk about support and Q&A. Here we go again. There is no 30-minute segment about support. You're wrong. Stop saying that.
Here we have a case study on mental deterioration in real time. Our subject matter here is incapable of remembering anything that happens on his streams outside of mundane things he does during gameplay, and he refuses to watch back anything he says outside of ancient content so that he can blame the era of its production for his behaviors. Friend of the channel, Atlas the Bookkeeper, said it best. He does not register what a sneak bag is, and the grifting has become so offhanded that a direct ask isn't the only thing that qualifies as a bag anymore.
I know you'll say, we'll just come back to when the podcast, we'll come back when the podcast is over. Ask yourself, why should someone do that? Because there's a podcast scheduled for the morning, and if you don't want to watch the podcast, you come to the stream after it's over. That's like saying, man, I really want to watch the nightly news that starts at 9 p.m., but god damn it, there's an hour of sitcoms that happen from 8 to 9. Why can't they just cancel all the sitcoms and start the news at 8? Because that's the fucking broadcast schedule, stupid. You come to, when you want to see something live, you attend when it starts. My gameplay starts traditionally around 12:45 p.m. Pacific time. You know there's 3 hours of gameplay around 1 p.m.-ish. Why would you come for the scheduled podcast at 11:15 and complain that there's a podcast? Don't attend the podcast. Like, oh my God.
As a continuation of our study on new viewers, which Phil claims to get, and who do not understand what makes him so loathsome, we follow up on a continuing complaint about the 2-hour pre-cum pisscast. In this study, we have discovered that if a new viewer were to stumble across the obscurity that is a DSP space gaming stream, and were subjected to the war crime that is the podcast, they would never return of their own free will. How these new viewers would know about this pre-made schedule is beyond me. Here at DSNN, we have a strong feeling that this is why his channel maintains its rapid descent into its death throes.
Easy Steve, how are you today? Welcome. Highest Darkness, I do not take offense. It's just that I have heard that exact same line of argument since COVID began, and it is bullshit. It's what people like to push as a narrative for political reason. It has absolutely nothing to do with reality, so...
You heard it here first, folks, from the one and only economist that matters, P.P. Bernelio. Inflation is not reality. Those statistics everywhere saying that we're above 3% inflation in the US are not real. And if other countries are out there facing financial stress issues, those are also not reality.
I appreciate the comment. I just want to let you know, if you actually believe that, you've had the wool pulled over your eyes. It's a bunch of bullshit. But if you don't know what we're talking about, Highest Darkness left a comment last night on a video, and he's like, you know, right now, there's inflation, and a lot of people aren't making a lot of money, or the money they made isn't going as far as it used to go, and therefore a lot of people are hurting, and that might be why right now you said your channel's down for like 2 months. And I'm like, so if that's the case, as you know, we totally have heard that every single content creator is hurting right now because they're all willing, you know, people who take contributions, and all contributions would be down, right? Oh, by the way, that also means people don't have money to pay for consoles or video games or their Apple Watches or their fucking Teslas and all this shit that they're constantly dropping and spending money on. They don't have money for that anymore, right? No, it's bullshit. It's a bullshit argument. It's a straw man argument, okay?
So as we see here, Phil is now like the other girls, no longer the unique case he frequently claims to be, because other streamers are not seeing a downturn in their income, which may or may not be public knowledge one way or the other, given the fact that only lolcow streamers beg, and the vast majority of the ones who make it branch out to other sources of income so that a hit to their donations wouldn't force them to invoke squatters' rights in their gated community homes.
All right? But the argument I'm making is the reason I'm down is 2 reasons. Fake memberships and RPG overload. It has nothing to do with the fact that there's inflation right now. There's been inflation for 3 years, and this didn't happen until 2 months ago. So it's a not a valid argument. Again, it's a straw man argument. Everyone seems to use it to try to justify shit. I've literally had people over the last 4 years, every year, use this argument on me. I'm like, it's not valid. Stop trying to use that argument. It's not real.
Keep that in mind when proprietor Phil begs for money once again that his strife was all caused by the Argentinian warfront and those detractor game devs pumping out banger RPG after banger RPG, because it's not his fault, never has been, he's just a victim of circumstance. And remember, if you're unable to donate because of financial strife and the economy being your own detractor, that your claims are invalid. The only strife that matters is his.
Am I going to play Stellar Blade in April? Unlikely. But we'll see. I'll leave it as a maybe, but it's unlikely. And I'm going to be honest with you. Would you really want to know the truth? Although the combat, I have looked a little bit into the combat and it looks okay to me. It's like, it's not amazing, but it's not bad. It looks decent. If I play Stellar Blade, 99% of the time I'm playing the game, people in the chat are going to be fucking immature shitheads about the character. Because the character was designed purposefully to be a sexualized character. The game dev has outright said it, and all the coverage you're seeing of the game online is just sexualized. Meaning, oh look, instead of show gameplay, let's have her walk up and down this ladder 10 times in a row to see her butt cheeks jiggle.
We here at DSNN took great pleasure at investigating the claim about butt cheeks jiggling on ladders and regret to inform you that we have not found this footage, and we have good reason to doubt its existence. We have, however, seen a pretty sweet looking combat engine with a great art design for a game that looks like it could be a breakout success. Phil, on the other hand, being the wizard businessman he is, rejected the game based on sexual content, of which just seems to be that the main protagonist is attractive. Maybe Sweet BB Inc. has a job for him.
Well, I don't fucking do that. I don't care about that. And I don't want my stream to be all about that. So I'm not going to fucking subject myself to that when people will definitely be doing that in the chat. So I think I'm just going to skip it. You know, just being honest. I don't feel like I'm missing out too much anyway. Because like what I've said, if this game did not have that woman as the protagonist, I don't think people would be talking about it like they are. I don't think people would even be that excited for it. I think it's a decent game when it comes to the gameplay elements, but people are loving the game and hyping it because they're perverts. Lust over her and fucking look at the butt cheeks jiggle, look at the boobs jiggle. This shit. Well, guess what? I'm not into that. Since that seems to be a major part of the game development cycle for this game and what was intended, and I don't care about that, I guess I'm skipping it. Oh well.
Oh well indeed. I hate to be the bringer of bad news, albeit that is my profession when I make these videos. But no tiggle biddies, and no badonkadonks for you guys. We will have a team watching Iviga for Slip and Slide Watch as we all try to process this great loss.
So, when all this is going down, and even with my other party members warning me against it, don't do it, I said, that's it, I'm going to make my choice. No, I'm not going to allow him to do the ritual, okay? So by the way, it's revealed that the writing on his back from Cazador is the ritual marks. It's just he was going to be one of the sacrifices for the ritual. And during the ritual, you rescue him. So again, all the things you're doing for this character, right? You went to Baldur's Gate, you went to the mansion, you kicked the vampire's ass, and you saved him from being ritually sacrificed. That's not good enough. He still doesn't like you because you don't want to do exactly what he wants. You want to talk about a fucking spoiled brat? That's Asterion. He's fucking such a spoiled brat character. If he doesn't get exactly his way, he hates you. How the fuck does that make any sense?
Normally here at DSNN, we would get an expert on child psychology to help us cover this statement to the best of their abilities, but that wasn't necessary for this statement, as it was the specialist himself who made it. As someone who is the embodiment of exactly what he's railing against in this current moment, we can only take him at his word while we add Asterion to the ever-growing list of detractors.
He's out of my party for good, okay? It's sad because he's been my go-to rogue. He's been my lockpicker. He's been my stealth guy. He's been a part of the plot for 120 hours. Yeah, it hurts to lose someone who's a key party member. Like I said, I literally never took Asterion out of my party. He was there from the get-go, and he's the only character that I always had in my party, right? So it sucks to lose him, but I said, I'm going to live with the consequences of my decision.
This statement didn't register to us, so we brought in a Pygmies translator to decipher what was being said at the end of the statement, and he gave us this transcript. I couldn't be fucked to do this fight again, and thought the losses would be negligible, so I didn't reload until it was too late.
I chose the moral path. That's the path that he didn't like. If he doesn't like me and he doesn't want to be with me anymore, that's fine. Leave, okay? So I receive a sack of items in my inventory. It's over 100 items. I said, oh, this is his inventory. This is what he had sitting in his inventory, and they give it to you so that way you don't lose all the inventory items when he leaves the party. Fine.
Here we have come to the precipice of this complaint. Phil's expectation was that he was gone, but his stuff would remain, only to discover he had been robbed once again. His mind flashing rapidly with thoughts of long-lost fabric shopping bags, a singular tire, the extra hundreds of dollars he lost on a spark plug scam. The thoughts overwhelmed him. and sent him into a spiraling frenzy of rage, spitting incomprehensible vitriol at everything and anything Asterian related, almost as if he was his long-lost love Rambo leaving him once again.
And so you could essentially make a second out of this new character who we recruited. And I was like, oh, okay, that's neat. Let's do it then.
So as you can see, the ever-resilient Phil has found a solution to his problem. Well, part of his problem. Because just like in real life, he doesn't care about the character or person. It's about the objects or money that comes and goes with said character or person. Now let's see how he reacts when he finds out the gear he had equipped on Asterian is gone. I was given a breakdown of the items on him at the time. I don't know how accurate it is, but it looks solid to me, so here it is.
Wait a minute, where are the hand crossbows that I've had him use the whole game? I'm looking, none of it's there. Huh? So the game programmers at Larian had the foresight to say, well, if we have a character leave, they got to give you the items from their inventory because they might have a quest item in there, right? And if there's a quest item in their inventory and they leave, you can't complete the quest. You could soft lock the game. And they didn't want that to happen. But they didn't think enough forward to say, oh yeah, by the way, if a person leaves your party, they have equipment on them, and they should also give you their equipment.
In the gaming sector here, we call that complacency with modern game design, where in most AAA game releases there are no lasting punishments for your actions, good or bad. The fact that this game was willing to take the risk of punishing players, many of whom could have been like Phil, and find any punitive action taken against them as bad game design, a flaw, or otherwise something to be derided rather than praised, is something I personally will always respect.
He's gone. They wipe him from game's existence, and now you have no option whatsoever to get your shit back. That's bad game design. Bloop! What the fuck are you talking about? Right? That's terrible gameplay. It is. It's bad writing. It's bad programming. It's bad gameplay. I'm sorry. You're never going to convince me different. You don't just disappear from fucking existence and get away scot-free with all my shit.
If you, my dear viewer, can't tell that he absolutely adores this game through all the ranting and raving about game engines, game design, bad coding, whatever else he could lash his tongue at, then you must be a mouth-drooling dunce. And this reporter personally can't wait for him to finish this game so we can stop hearing about it through the lens of a lobotomite with a business degree.
Over the weekend, I had someone come on my streams. Their name is One's 2 Cents. And you know, they were very supportive. They contributed to one of my streams. And behind the scenes, they shot me an email. And they said, I like how you handled the situation with Rich and Jay, his editor. All right? Now, for those who don't know, I don't know anything about this. I don't follow the real situation. For what I'm to understand, I guess Rich, Review Tech USA, had an editor who he paid to do a lot of work for him. And I guess they're having some kind of a dispute where he got fired and he thinks that Rich owes him money. I have no clue. Okay, I don't pay attention to any of this. I don't care about the drama of others, all right?
Now, I know you, my gorgeous audience, are not sniffing glue or attempting to win the world's record for most brain damage sustained within 60 seconds. So you are as aware as I that he's lying through his teeth once again. That happens a lot during this segment. I tried to cut it down as best I could. Essentially, from what I've pulled from this situation as of the recording of this video, neither side has released their DMs, so this is all hearsay and therefore worthless. But I got some tweets that are still relevant, and the guy is going to rant, so we're just along for the ride.
It's pretty funny, huh? And they respected that. And I think One's 2 Cents was one of those people. And so he contacted me over the weekend and said, would you be interested in having like a chill stream with Jay? I guess Jay is the former editor of Rich, because he's a really down-to-earth guy, he's a nice guy, and he's expressed interest in you and maybe talking with you.
Another character break here, but this is why the guy is the biggest mark in the world. If you can't tell just by the way he's framing this whole situation that he was being played from the start, you probably tried cleaning your irises with bleach. This looks like a work to me from the ground up. Guy donates a pile of cash to DSP, guy respects DSP's feigned complete ignorance of everything going around in the sectors of YouTube that he's involved in, and then tries to slide him into someone else's DMs to get a project going together. If that doesn't sound like a work, I don't know what does.
Jay said that he wanted to have a chill stream, but he wanted to talk behind the scenes first. Like, maybe let's have a one-to-one conversation before we agree to a stream. Let's just have a conversation about it. personally offline, not public. I was like, okay, how do you want to have it? We can talk on the phone, or, we can try to figure a video chat or whatever. I can do it maybe after my late stream or whatever. Like, that's literally it.
The historian here at DSNN has informed me that previously, when Phil decided to decline Mr. Clum's offer of a documentary at the 11th hour, it was because he didn't want to run the risk of harming his audience. Given that every interaction he has with people outside of his dented audience, he is immediately put into the spotlight again, and somehow manages to make himself look worse than before. You would think he would abstain from actions like this. What really makes me question what this was all about is that he didn't mention any of this to his audience beforehand, even though he makes it out to be every time he rejects an offer to do something, it's because he asked his audience and they said no, and they're worried about being harmed like they were after the Side Scrollers interview. Somehow.
The DSP thing was something I wanted to do because he reached out to me and that never happens. I thought we'd get a little more insight into Phil if he opened up. However, he obviously only wants to do a fluff interview despite Rich, which I find funny for someone saying they don't want to get involved in drama. At this point, I don't think we will ever get any truth from him, but I tried. What? Yes, everyone was right. Phil is Phil. He'll never talk about anything serious. What are you talking about?
The only interesting bit here is that he reached out to Jay, according to Jay, because you would think someone trying to avoid drama wouldn't get involved with someone who is already embroiled in some, especially when that previously mentioned embroilment is with a known detractor of his.
Get a life. No, really, Jay, get a life. I know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know what you're trying to bait me into. I'm not doing nothing. Get the fuck out of here, alright? That's the God's honest truth of what's going on, and I'm not involved with it anymore. Obviously, I'm not going to talk to the guy again. Fuck him. In fact, you know what? I should have known better. Correct? Here we go. And let's go right ahead and go ahead and block him again. You're blocked. Now I don't have to deal with it anymore. Now he can't DM me, and now I can move on with my fucking life, right? Okay, great. Excellent. Thanks for listening to this bullshit video that I had to make to clear it up. And now I can move on with my life and not have to worry about nonsense anymore. Thanks for listening. Okay.
And with that power move of blocking someone on X like an absolute champion of the drama arena, we'll lay all this J talk to bed and say our farewells. Except it's the guy, so never mind.
This guy, Ones to Sense, who was on my streams over the weekend, had presented this opportunity. He says, I'm actually someone who, I work with Jay all the time, and he's expressed interest in talking with you. Would you consider it? I said, I'm open to just a conversation about anything, gaming or whatever, something positive. That's cool. That's what we were supposed to talk about. And the next thing I know, Jay is tweeting, oh, well, the whole DSP thing, I only entertained it because he reached out to me, and he's never going to have a serious interview and talk about the important topics. He's just like everyone says. So I'm like, wait, what? Like, literally nothing you're tweeting about is anything we ever discussed.
He is as predictable as the sun rising. Of course he brings up Jay again the following day and reiterates the same talking points. I have no idea why he's so riled up about a situation that no one else would give a fuck about outside of the snort text, but if you really want to debunk this, all you have to do is screenshot your DMs, which I'm sure he is aware of, which makes me think he's lying again. For why? No idea.
People think that, like, I'm not a normal person who's capable of, like, a conversation. Why?
As a human, I can't understand why people wouldn't think that DSP is a normal style individual. And like a human, he talks like humans do most of the time. Like he talks to other like humans all the time. The human styles talk the way the human styles do. You know, like, yeah, that's robust.
In the last year, everyone is out to make a buck off of my name. However they can do that, and usually that's drag Phil through dirt, right? So let's have Phil as a guest on our show. Oh, wait a minute. We realized this guy's going to be a cash cow because a lot of people don't like him on the internet. So let's say we're going to do an interview, right? But then turn that interview into a 3-ring circus that we'll milk for content for 2 months, and then also continue to do defamatory streams about him so that we can make tons of money on him, right? Oh, by the way, also drop the original offer to have him as a guest on our show anyway. Like, what the fuck? All I wanted to do was be a guest on the show because they offered it, and it would have given me some exposure to a new audience. Instead, I've become a villain again on the internet for a bunch of bullshit that I'm not involved in.
Phil here stating that he was aiming to use the side scrollers to attempt to grift off their audience while taking grievance with the fact that during the course of his interview, they made money while simultaneously becoming detractors. Nothing more, nothing less. Just showing that the side scrollers still live rent-free in the back of his head.
How is there a conception on the internet that I'm hard to reach. What, because fucking Keemstar said it? He's a fucking liar. He's a liar. He made it up on purpose to create more drama and content for him.
And even Sir Keem got a little segment where he gets accused of saying that Phil is hard to get a hold of and work with to apparently garner more attention for his content, which I have to say for myself, that makes no sense. This guy is just lashing out at everyone he can, using Jay as a launching platform to project his victimhood.
But the one thing that I can always say, all right, is that in all the years that I've been a content creator, I never had to step on other people to get where I was. I never actively hurt anyone to do what I do and make a living or to get any kind of popularity, right? I mean, even as much as you'll watch back and you watch, that video of John Rambo and Howard kind of crapping on me, what you'll always hear John say is that I was fair with pay because I didn't want to step on someone or crap on someone or ruin someone's reputation or whatever.
We don't want to talk too much about it, but couple that with the fact with money. These guys are putting all this time and effort into this fucking thing. And what do they get? Gugats. That's what they got. Because
I wanted everyone to come up with me. You understand? So I never really wanted to feel like, oh, Phil just used us as a ride or whatever. No one's going to say that.
I think respect the pact would. Anyway, this is going to be a short one, guys. Sorry this isn't my standard fare or anything above what I was doing before. I have a work trip coming up tomorrow, and I had 2 family birthdays today, actually, so time has been very tight. Next week should be better, so if you're still along for the ride, I'll see you then, and never forget, you're appreciated. Later.